Hello. Welcome to the True Crime Lounge. Today we are continuing on with our Season 2 of the True Crime Lounge podcast. I do have a YouTube that you can go check out as well. I also have an Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter you can check out as well. You can also find the podcast on Instagram and Facebook. YouTube and Spotify. Um, Today we're going to be talking about Harry Alonzo Longabaugh. Now I did try practicing his name beforehand, and I'm terrible when it comes to names, so please excuse me. Now this is going to be a short episode, it's not going to be a long one today, but we have Harry Alonzo Longabaugh. And let's dive into True Crime Lounge, shall we? Well, he was better known as the Sundance Kid, which I will either be referring him as Harry or Sundance Kid, so I don't keep butchering his last name up. And he was an outlaw member of Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch during his wild days in the Old West. He also went on by many names: Frank Smith, H.A. Brown, Harry A. Place, and Harry Long. That name would not hold up well today. That last one would not. I'm sorry. But he was born in Montclair, Pennsylvania, in 1867, the youngest children of Josiah and Annie G. Place Longabaugh. Interesting place. And if you recall, I talked about Butch Cassidy in Ada Place, so you can go back and check those episodes out as well. When he was only 15, he headed west with his cousin. By the time he was 20, he had stolen a gun, a saddle, and a horse from a ranch in Sundance, Wyoming, only to be almost immediately captured. He was convicted to spend 18 months in jail, and at this time, he took on the nickname the Sundance Kid. After his release, he worked as a cowboy before implicating in an 1892 train robbery, and by 1897, he had hooked up with Harvey Logan, a member of the Wild Bunch. The gang robbed a bank at Fell Brochet, South Dakota on June 27. Both men were captured and managed to escape from a Deadwood jail 3 months later. Afterward, they hid in a log cabin in an old trail in Cody, Wyoming. As they planned to rob a bank in Red Lodge, Montana, he soon met up with Cassidy, joined the Wild Bunch, and moved the robbers' roost in Utah. So, June 2nd, 1899, the gang, including Cassidy, Sundance Kid, Logan, Elzalay, and robbed a Union Pacific overland flyer passenger train near Wilcox, Wyoming. This year, he is thought to have met up with at a place in San Antonio. On August 29th, 1900, Cassidy, Longabaugh, and others robbed the Union Pacific Train number 3 near Tipton, Wyoming, with about $55,000. What I would give to have that much right now would be lovely right there. Wonder what that is in today's currency. Well, let's see. That's a lot in today's money. But still, that's a lot now I would love to have. But anyway, less than a month later, on September 19, 1900, 3 or 4 bandits, including the Sundance Kid, struck the First National Bank in Winnemucca, Nevada, stealing around approximately $33,000. In December 1900, he posed alongside Longabaugh, Harvey Logan, Will Carver, and Ben Kilpatrick in Fort Worth for their now famous Fort Worth 5 photograph. The Pinkerton Detective Agency obtained a copy of the photograph and began using it for wanted posters. In the meantime, with the gang breaking up and feeling continuous pressure from numerous law enforcement agencies pursuing them, Cassidy, Longabaugh, and Place fled to New York City. On February 20th, 1901, the trio departed for Argentina aboard the British steamer Herminius. After several years, Etta Place started living on the run, and at her request, Longabaugh accompanied back to her from Chile to San Francisco in June 1906. The Sundance Kid returned to South America, however, where he stayed with Butch Cassidy, where thought to have been killed in Bolivia in 1908. However, many believe he actually was not killed there, and that he was still alive, and that he didn't die until 1936. So who exactly was the Sundance Kid? Well, he was an American criminal who was originally known as Harry Longabaugh, and at 15 he received a nickname while he was arrested for stealing horses in Sundance, Wyoming. And after a couple of years in jail, he returned to resumed his career in crime, robbing trains and banks. Named the Wild Bunch, he and his conspirators went on to have the longest crime spree in history of the American West. Sundance eventually fled to South America, where he continued his life of crime. Historians disagree on his death, citing the shootout in Bolivia, November 3rd, 1908. While others suggest he returned to the U.S. and under the name William Long and lived there until 1936. So his early years, he was born in 1867 in Montclair, Pennsylvania. He was considered the fastest gunslinger in the Wild Bunch. He was well known for robbers and cattle rustlers, and that through the American West during the 1880s and 1890s. He was only 15 when he left home for good. He took the nickname from the Wyoming town Sundance. For the crime, Sundance served nearly 2 years in jail. Upon his release, he attempted to create an honest life, but the life of crime was too much appealing for him. So, the Wild Bunch. By the early 1890s, Sundance was back to being an outlaw. Authorities fingered him at a train robbery in 1892. 5 years later, for a bank heist, he pulled off with his friends, known as the Wild Bunch. And this gang consisted of Parker, aka Butch Cassidy, Lay, the Tall Texan, and Harvey Logan, aka Kid Curry. Okay, that sounds like something like Steph Curry could have used as a kid, or his kids could use. Um, I'm not, I don't really know who he is. I just know his name. But anyway, um, together that the group embarked on the longest stretch of successful trains and bank robberies in the history of the Wild West. According to the men, Sundance was considered to be the fastest gunslinger, and historical records indicate that he never killed anyone during the Wild Bunch's gang run. The gang robberies were scattered through parts of South Dakota, New Mexico, Nevada, and Wyoming. Between robberies, the men hid in a hole-in-the-wall pass, located in Johnson County, Wyoming, where several gangs had their hideouts. With each new robbery, the Wild Bunch became known and well liked by the American public. Eager to read about their exploits, the robberies also became bigger. One of the largest was about $70,000 haul from a train just outside of Folsom, New Mexico. Unable to stop the Wild Bunch, the Union Pacific hired the famed Pinkerton National Detective Agency to find and arrest Sundance and the gang. So perhaps sensing their run was over, Sundance and Cassidy pushed to South America, first to Argentina, where they arrived to make it as honest farmers. With the pair was Etta Place, a former prostitute who became Sundance's lover, and rumored wife. So, what about the final years of his death? Well, an honest life was not a good fit for Eddie Sundance and Cassidy. Before long, they were back to their outlaw ways, robbing banks and trains just as they'd done in the States. As the story goes, Cassidy and Sundance lost their lives in a shootout in southern Bolivia, November 3rd, 1908. But the truth of this has never been fully settled. Debate lingers over when Sundance actually died. One actually, one account, which bears some historical evidence, suggests he returned to the U.S. after with a new name, William Long, and he settled a new life as a Utah rancher. According to his story, he married a widow with 6 children in 1894 and lived as an old man, eventually dying in 1936. So, what about you might recall the movie came out? Well, whatever the story the movie might have, Sundance was one of the real legends of the American West. In 1969, life and relationship with Cassidy was turned into an Oscar-winning movie, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford. So, that is it for today's episode. I will see y'all next time, and I hope y'all have a great day.